Hello and welcome to Business Spotlight, where we bring you worthy of knowing stories and interesting interviews and discussions around the business fair. I am Layo Shobo for Lauren Shaw, and we start with the business news. The National Pension Commission has said that only 7 states and the Federal Capital Territory are fully implementing pension reforms laws despite widespread adoption of contributory pension frameworks across the country. The Director General of the Commission, Mrs. Omolola Oluworano, disclosed this in Abuja during the maiden edition of the biannual consultative session for heads of service of states yet to adopt or fully implement the contributory pension scheme or the contributory defined benefit scheme. Oluworano explained that 30 states and the FCT had enacted laws on the scheme or the contributory defined benefit scheme, while 6 states still had the pension reform bills awaiting passage in their state assemblies. She noted that 23 states had pension laws that were either inactive or only partially implemented, leaving many civil servants uncertain about their retirement future. She said the old pension structure had failed because it created uncertainty and unsustainable liabilities, adding that the contributory pension scheme was introduced to promote accountability, sustainability, and transparency in pension administration. The Senate has passed the 2026 Statutory Appropriation Bill for the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, approving a total expenditure of 2.285 trillion naira for the development and administration of the nation's capital. The approval followed the presentation and consideration of the harmonized report of the Senate and House of Reps committees on the FCT during plenary. Presenting the report, the Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on the FCT, Senator Austin Akobundu, Abia Central, on behalf of the committee chairman, Senator Ibrahim Bume from Yobe South, said the joint committees recommended a sum of 2.285 trillion naira as the FCT statutory budget for 2026 from a projected revenue of 2.385 trillion naira. He explained that the budget proposal contained 165.7 billion naira for personnel costs, 378.2 billion naira for overhead costs, while 1.741 trillion naira was allocated to capital expenditure. According to him, the structure of the budget indicated a strong focus on infrastructure development and public service delivery, with 76.19% of the total allocation devoted to capital projects, while recurrent expenditure accounted for 23.8%. The House of Representatives has criticized the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, over what they described as weak regulatory oversight, blaming the agency for persistently poor quality of telecom services across the country. The lawmakers said the regulator had failed to effectively enforce standards that would compel service providers to deliver reliable connectivity, warning that the situation poses risks to lives and properties, especially in emergencies. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved by Amadou Jaha, who represents Chibok Damboa Goza Federal Constituency of Borno State. Speaking on the motion, Jahar stressed that the central role telecommunications now play in Nigeria's economy and daily life, while lamenting the widening gap between subscriber expectations and the actual service delivery. He pointed to recurring issues such as dropped calls, poor data speeds, and failed message delivery as evidence of systemic inefficiency within the sector. Lawmakers also raised concerns about the mismatch between the high cost of telecom services and the quality delivered. Beyond network issues, Jaha highlighted what he described as a breakdown in customer service systems, noting that subscribers often struggle to get timely responses or resolutions to complaints. A new World Bank report has stated that Nigeria could generate more than $400 billion in additional income by 2040 if the country increases investment in adolescent girls through education, healthcare, economic opportunities, and stronger legal protections for a cost of around $37 billion. In the report titled Pathways to Prosperity for Adolescent Girls in Nigeria, the World Bank said Nigeria has significant untapped economic potential despite insecurity, poverty, and regional inequalities, noting that targeted interventions for girls could boost productivity and economic growth. The report added that similar investments across Africa could generate more than $2.4 trillion in additional income at about an estimated cost of $200 billion. According to the report, Nigeria's national averages mask deep disparities between the northern and southern regions, with girls in the northwest and northeast facing worse outcomes due to insecurity, insurgency, and structural disadvantages. The report stated that 45.7% of girls aged 15 to 19 are currently in school, below the African average of 51.5%, while 30.6% are economically engaged, above the continental average of 22.3%. It added that 80.8% of girls aged 15 to 19 are unmarried and without children, compared to the African average of 73.4%, although early marriage and childbearing remain widespread among poor and rural communities. The new National Executive President of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas (NUPENG) workers, Comrade Otunba Salmon Oladiti, has commended the federal government and the NNPCL over the recent agreement reached with Chinese firms aimed at reviving the Warri and Port Harcourt refineries. In a statement signed by Salmon Oladiti, the union described the development as a significant step towards addressing the long-standing challenges in Nigeria's petroleum sector and reducing the country's heavy dependence on imported petroleum products, despite its position as a major oil-producing nation. Oladiti noted that the continued collapse and underperformance of local refineries over the years have contributed greatly to rising fuel costs, pressure on foreign exchange, inflation, unemployment, and worsening economic hardship for millions of Nigerians. He said Nigerian workers and ordinary citizens have continued to bear the burden of unstable fuel supply, high transportation costs, and harsh living conditions caused by the failure of the nation's refining sector and the inability to achieve sustainable local production. As the insurance sector recapitalization exercise gathers momentum, about 15 firms have so far successfully undergone capital verification out of 24 firms approved by the National Insurance Commission, NICOM. Total number of operating firms in the sector is 57, indicating that barely 40% of the sector operators can be said to be in comfortable position, while the remaining 60% are still in various stages of recapitalization, just about 2.5 months to the deadline of July 31, 2026. The remaining 9 companies out of the first set of 24 are currently undergoing the verification process, indicating a gradual but steady progression toward meeting regulatory requirements. Reports had it that additional 5 insurance companies have formally written to NICOM seeking approval to commence their verification. The first 24 insurers were distributed among 4 consulting firms engaged by NICOM to oversee the capital verification process. NICOM explained that the appointment of the 4 consultants is aimed at ensuring transparency, credibility, and efficiency in the recapitalization exercise. It will be recalled that following the signing of the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act 2025, insurance firms were mandated to shore up their operating capital by July 31, 2026, and the deadline would not be extended. And now to the interview segment of Business Spotlight today. Our correspondent, Abiola Ismail, continues the conversation on strengthening Nigeria's economy in the face of security threats with retired Naval Commodore and Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies, Professor Adekunle Olawumi. Let's join them now.
Sir, what role can the military and other security agencies play in creating stable environment for economic development?
Yeah, I was in the military and I know that people have gotten used to military men coming to rescue at every beck and call. That's why you see military men at checkpoints everywhere. That shouldn't be the role of the military. That should not be our role. That's what we call civil aid to civil authority. Is a concept in the military that we can aid the civil authority in terms of emergency. But the military should not be used at every emergency. The military itself should be organized in such a way that they should be part of the system, but not playing the lead role. You have the police, you have the AFCC, you have the DSS, ICPC, and other paramilitary organizations. What I would advise the government to do right now is to push more resources into the paramilitary and make them visible. And the military should actually be at the back, and if they're overwhelmed, that's the time they should come in. But most importantly, military can help in the protection of critical national infrastructures. For instance, when you go to Niger Delta, you see your pipelines are not well protected. You see your communication infrastructure, your energy infrastructures, and so on. Those are strategic economic base that I think the military can actually have their basis and visibility so that they can prevent the sabotage that we see every day. So I think they can play that role, strategic military installations, strategic economic installations and facilities. But outside that, the military are just supposed to focus on external aggression. That is my principle. I don't like the situation where you see military men all over the place in the country. The military should go back to the barracks. Yeah.
How can Nigeria balance increased security spending with the need to invest in infrastructure, education, and healthcare?
For me, the budget or the spending should be more in the other side, not on the military and the defense side. If you look at it strategically, you see that the causes of insecurity itself is lack of good governance. Lack of provision of social infrastructure, opportunities, safety, education, health. Those are the things that are causing over like 2-3 decades. That's what is leading to insecurity itself. In this instance, for Nigeria, I think we should tilt more to the productive and the production aspect, whereby we can begin to beef up an egalitarian society where there will be no need for you to commit crime and there will be no need for soldiers to be all over the streets. What is happening in the north is as a result of careless behavior of our northern elites. Where you breed almajiris and you think, okay, it's a religious thing or it's an education thing. And after like 60 years, now you have enough men to recruit into the Boko Haram and all these things that we are saying. So for me, it's not about balancing. I think we have to tilt towards social welfare function, which looks at the the Human Development Index itself. So you need to spend more money there now for the next 4 or 5 years. Pump money into education, health, infrastructure, road, and so on. And I think by and large, we are going to have respite, from insecurity. So I think you should spend more on social welfare than on security.
So to what extent do you say that the insecurity in farming community has contributed to food inflation and hardship? We talk of heavy, talk of certain parts of the country where we have more farmers.
Yeah, I won't even talk about the theoretical linkage. There's a direct relationship between what is going on in Kebbi and some of those food baskets, Benue, Trough, and so on. There's a direct relationship between what is going on there and food insecurity and inflation and high cost of food. There's a direct relationship. So if the government is going to be serious, I think they should focus on ensuring that the productive space that you just mentioned is secure and safe enough for food to be produced and for the population to have this respite. The way they are going about it, I think they don't understand that when you secure the productive space, including roads, you mentioned the market, maybe the farm, when you spend more time trying to ensure that area is stabilized, then you begin to have a situation you have in other countries where they are going through instability. Some of them are going through military operations other than war, like Ukraine, like in Israel, like in Iran. I mean, I follow those trends, and sometimes I'm amazed that with all the bombings and all the chaos that you see, there's still electricity, there's still transport. People are still eating in the restaurant. People are still having life. So the government have to learn from some of these countries, like Iran, even Israel, or even Ukraine, where they are under siege. I mean, it's physical war, basically. I don't want to say it's a military operation. And yet there's electricity, there's still water, and people are still living. I mean, schools are running. So for me, those spaces are sacrosanct, in terms of protection. I mean, we need to protect our productive space, like farm, as you said, so that we will not push the population to a point of revolt. Our population are overtaxed. Not in the real sense of the macroeconomics indices. I'm talking about, they are taxed in every aspect. If you travel on the road, you are taxed. If you go to the market to buy things, you are taxed. Everywhere they have been taxed. So the government should pay attention to that aspect so that they don't fight on 2 or 3 fronts. The people's movement may be very critical. So they should pay attention to your question, whereby they should protect the production sector, where we produce our food and other things, so that even the roads, they should make it safe, so that people can move about their schedules.
So how important is intelligence gathering and interagency collaboration in addressing economic sabotage and insecurity?
What to just ask is the ideal. There should be a synergy, like a fusion center, whereby everything that's going on in the country is seen by all the security architecture. That is the ideal. But it's very far from the reality in Nigeria. It's just very far.
As a professor of international relations and strategic studies, what lessons do you think Nigeria can take from war that is going on between Iran, US, Israel, Ukraine, Russia, like you mentioned? What lessons do you think economically?
Let me talk from the perspective of a military mind. for me, what I've seen is, especially from Iran, is that the Nigerians should put their acts together. It is so upsetting that I've been in the system, and I know that we've started this Defense Industrial Corporation since 1963. As I say it, I feel very bad, because I was in Brazil in 2014 to see what they were doing. I was sent by Nigeria to go and observe a military exercise. And the Brazilian told me to where they were building a nuclear submarine. I'm talking about 2014. They were already building a nuclear submarine. I went to where they are manufacturing their warships. But we started the same time. India is the same. So, if you want to ask me for the lessons, I think I will not want, there are many lessons, but the major thing for me is that we should build our defense infrastructure. You see, I don't know, all this corruption and people trying to make money, I don't know what to do with the money in the long run, because what you now have is people trying to make money from defense. I mean, you can make money on people's blood. People are dying every day. You are making money. You are wearing agbada, and you are happy. And we should simply build up our defense. In a position to help is to build a very robust defense system. That is why the Americans are chickening out. I projected that Americans are going to be defeated by Iran. Because I know what they were doing. Nigeria is going to be next. Because Americans are looking for oil everywhere. They went to Venezuela, captured their president. They went to Iran, they killed the people. They want the oil, the Suez Canal. The Strait of Hormuz and the island where the Iranians have their. That's what they want. In Iraq, they did the same thing. Look at what they did in Libya. And I don't know why I don't want to say politicians, because I don't know how they think. They should know that if Venezuela is down, Iraq is down, Libya is down, Iran is going.
Africa is the next.
Not only Africa, Nigeria is next. But how they think, how they perceive everything, actually beats my imagination. Nigeria is next. The American troops are already here. When they finish with Iran, we should pray that Iran hold them down for as long as possible to pin them down at that Middle East. Because when they get out of that, they are coming to Nigeria now. They're going to take your oil. Because you have people that seem not to know what they're doing with the oil and the gold, uranium that you have. You don't seem to know what to do with them. You simply steal some and sell at Dubai and you are happy. Marry more wives. So they are coming to teach you how to make use of your resources. They will take it from you. They can take your president, capture him and take him away. And what can you do? So the lesson for me is that we should build a robust defense system. Why can't we embark on nuclear production? I mean, maybe for energy to start with, and try to develop like the Iranians are doing. Look at India. Look at Pakistan. We are contemporaries in the 60s. Look at Malaysia. Look at Singapore. We are contemporaries. What's wrong with all these people that goes about parading themselves as politicians? What is wrong with them? They just need to look at their back and they will see that India has progressed, Brazil has progressed, Singapore is gone, Pakistan, we are even going to beg Pakistan to help us. We are going to Turkey. And you have, I don't like using the word potential. We have a lot of opportunities. We have men, we have materials, we have the population. But we simply cannot organize ourselves. So the lesson, to cut it short, is let's just go for defense. Let's protect our resources. We have tremendous amount of resources. It's a lot. And the United States, the Chinese, they have seen what you have by satellite. They know what is, they know. You don't even know what you have, and they are coming for it. So you need to actually bolster your defense. And I think our politicians should try to think that this nation will outlive them eventually. So they have to leave some legacies, behind. So I think I will focus on defense. There are a lot of areas but I think let's me focus on defense. We need to build our defense, not what we are having now. Going cap in hand, buying guns everywhere. Why can't we make it? How did Brazil make their own? How did India do their own? How did Pakistan become a nuclear power?
And finally, sir, what would be your advice to policymakers in terms of building a resilient economy amidst the persistent insecurity?
I think my advice for them is to focus on the protection of the productive space, not borrowing more money, not looking at the usual macroeconomic indices to judge about the recovery. They should focus on the protection of the productive space. And I can quickly classify them into four. The farmlands, as I mentioned, your pipelines, which is the artery, it's your nerve. You have to protect it, okay? The issue of trust in the capital market, whereby people can come, the FDI, foreign direct investment, should be able to come. And I mentioned also the transportation aspect, whereby people should have the confidence to move their goods and services around the country. And I think the final thing I like to say the government is they have to build trust in people such that we should have the confidence that the government can protect us. That is very important because the economic itself is derived from the welfare and safety of your people. So let the people have the confidence that the government can protect us. Now there's no confidence that the government can protect us. So this will be my final line.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We've been talking to Professor Adekunle Olawumi, a retired naval commander. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
It's a pleasure.
My name is still Abiola Ismail. I'm leaving out to Layo.
This is where we draw the curtain for Business Spotlight today. Thank you so much for joining us. Do well to join us again for another episode on Monday. Meanwhile, follow us on all our social media platforms at MITV+_NG on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can also watch our programs live on YouTube at MITV+_NG. Remember to click the like and subscribe button. I am Layo Shobo for Lauren Shaw. Have a beautiful weekend.